This is Richard Wolff responding to another Ask Prof Wolff question from our Patreon community. And this one comes from Vidit. And Vidit has always wondered whether and how you would accumulate personal wealth if you lived in a socialist society. Would it be like you do in our capitalist societies, or would it be different? And how would it be done? Good question. So let me try to respond. Accumulating personal wealth is usually, for most of us, about savings, putting aside for things we will need or might need in the future. And that's where socialist society would make a big difference. In most socialist societies, a great deal of what we usually save for is provided automatically and freely by the society as a whole to everyone in it. So, for example, if you look at socialist societies and compare them to non-socialist societies, you get more in the way of a government retirement program, free education, both at the local and high school level and at the university level. You get subsidized or free child care. If you have a medical emergency, it's covered by insurance. If people get divorced, there are societies in which male and female wages and salaries are more similar than otherwise. So if you look at most of the things people put aside for personal savings, put aside for personal asset accumulation, you don't need it in a socialist society. And so in a sense, you don't need to do that much of it in a socialist society. So my guess is you would, in fact, see most people do a good bit less of it. There's no problem in a socialist society allowing people who want to save out of their personal income to do so. And there would be savings accounts. Every socialist society I know of has allowed and created the space for personal safe deposits or savings in a savings bank and so on. And you might be able to invest in certain ways in shares of various governmental or private entities. Varying socialist societies have handled that in different ways, and I would expect that would likely continue. There might be limits on it in order to avoid the inequalities that are typical of capitalism. But in case some of you are wondering, well, if you can't do it, or even if you're not inclined to do it so much on a personal level in a socialist society, would that make you less secure? Since the whole point of accumulating personal wealth for most people is to be a bit more secure. My response to that is to remind everyone that in the end, nothing you do is totally secure. Having something guaranteed by the society as a whole is probably a surer bet than relying on what you yourself can do. And as an example, my family, part of my family is German, and they lived through the great German inflation of 1922 and 23, and so our family is full of the stories. For 50 years before that, our frugal German family accumulated savings in savings accounts and various kinds of personal wealth. The inflation made all of that useless. The thousands of German Deutschmark that they had accumulated were enough to buy a quarter pound of butter because the prices had gone crazy. All that personal savings, all that personal frugality was undone by a social phenomenon. Over the last year, prices in America have risen at least 8 to 10%, which means if you have been saving money in a personal account of various kinds, you will have lost 8% to 10% of it in 1 year. And if the inflation gets worse, as most of us expect it to do, once again, your personal savings decisions will be undone by social changes over which you have minimal control. So it's not a question about being safe or not in one situation or another. The reality is socialist societies give you less need and less motivation to save on a personal level. And in the end, it will depend on the social totality, how secure you are and whether in retrospect you needed to accumulate those personal assets on your own. I want to thank you all for making these possibilities, these videos happen in our community, but I also want you to partner with us. I ask you that at the end of each of these videos, share them, show them to others who might be interested. Your partnership with us is crucial to every success we can have. And of course, if that partnership can include your helping fund the work that we do, that will be appreciated even more as we go forward. Thank you.